Welcome back, I'm Rachel, and in this video I'm going to go over the structure of the frontal bone. The frontal bone is located in the forehead area of the head. If we take a closer look at the frontal view of the skull, you can see highlighted in red the frontal bone in the forehead region. If we also have a look at the superior view of the skull, you can see highlighted in red the frontal bone extending up over the top of the head at the front of the skull. Now we are going to look at the different landmarks and features of the frontal bone. Here we have the anterior view and the posterior-inferior view of this bone. This bone consists of the squamous part, the nasal part, two orbital plates, and two zygomatic processes. The first region of the frontal bone is the squamous part. The squamous part is the largest part of this bone and forms the forehead. This part has several margins. The first of these margins is the parietal margin, also known as the posterior margin. This margin is thick, greatly serrated, and slopes internally. This margin forms the border between the frontal bone and the two parietal bones. Inferiorly along this margin, it changes to form a rough triangular surface. This part of the parietal margin forms the border between the frontal bone and the sphenoid bone. The next margins are the two supraorbital margins. These margins are the upper edges of the eye socket opening and form the border between the squamous part and the orbital plates of this bone. The squamous part also has two surfaces. The first surface is the external surface. This surface is convex in shape. On the supraorbital margin are the supraorbital notches, also known as the supraorbital foramen. Above the supraorbital margins on each side of the bone is a curved elevation known as the superciliary arch. This arch is also known as the supraorbital ridge and forms the brow ridge. Between these two arches a prominence is found. This prominence is known as the glabella. Superior to the superciliary arches are rounded tuberosities known as the frontal tubers or the frontal eminences. A line runs from the zygomatic processes curving along the squamous part. This line splits into a superior temporal line and an inferior temporal line near the parietal bone that carry onto the parietal bones and then onto the temporal bones. The area under these lines is known as the temporal surface. The temporal surface of this bone forms the anterior portion of the temporal fossa, which is a shallow depression found on the temporal region of the skull. The second surface is the internal surface. This surface is concave in shape. Along the midline of the upper to middle regions of this surface is a groove known as the sagittal sulcus. The edges of the sulcus go on to form a ridge down the rest of the midline of the surface known as the frontal crest. Along this surface are grooves for the meningeal vessels known as the meningeal grooves. Near the sagittal sulcus are small depressions for the arachnoid granulations, also known as the pacchionian granulations. The second part of this bone is the nasal part. The nasal part of this bone is the area between the supraorbital margins that project inferiorly. The nasal part has a serrated articular surface known as the nasal notch. The inferior region of the nasal notch is for articulation with the nasal bones. The lateral regions of the nasal notch are for articulation with the maxillar bone and the lacrimal bone. Extending from the central part of the nasal notch is a sharp spine known as the nasal spine. The nasal spine articulates anteriorly with the crest of the nasal bones. It also articulates with part of the ethmoid bone. The next regions of this bone are the two zygomatic processes. The zygomatic processes project laterally and inferiorly from each side of this bone. The end of each of these processes articulates with each of the zygomatic bones. The final regions of this bone are the two orbital plates. The orbital plates form the roof of the orbit. The orbital plates have two surfaces. The first of these surfaces is the orbital surface. This surface is concave in shape and smooth. A shallow depression is found on each of these plates known as the anterolateral fossa, which is for the lacrimal gland. A small depression is also found just behind the medial side of the supraorbital margin known as the trochlea fovea. The second surface is the cerebral surface, which isn't quite visible from these viewpoints. This surface is convex in shape and has depressions for the frontal gyri of the frontal lobe of the brain. It also has grooves for the meningeal vessels. The orbital plates also have a posterior border. These borders are thin and serrated and form the border between the frontal bone and the wings of the sphenoid bone. The two orbital plates are separated by a wide notch known as the ethmoidal notch. This notch is occupied by the ethmoid bone. The lateral margins of this notch articulate with the ethmoid bone. On each of these margins, two grooves are found. These combine with those of the ethmoid bone to form two canals known as the anterior ethmoidal foramen and the posterior ethmoidal foramen. Anterior to this ethmoidal notch and lateral to the nasal spine on each side of the frontal bone is the opening to the frontal sinus. The frontal sinus extends posterolaterally into the internal of the orbital and squamous regions of this bone. They are separated internally by a thin septum and are connected for drainage to the nasal cavity by a small canal known as the frontal nasal canal. Let's now take a closer look at the other bones this bone articulates with. This bone articulates with 12 other bones. The first of these articulations is with the two parietal bones. The parietal margin at the posterior of the frontal bone articulates with the frontal border of each of the parietal bones. This forms the frontoparietal suture, also known as the coronal suture. The next articulations are with the two maxillar bones. The lateral region of the nasal notch of the frontal bone articulates with the frontal process of the maxillar bone. This forms the frontomaxillary suture. The next articulations are with the two nasal bones. The inferior region of the nasal notch of the frontal bone articulates with the superior border of the nasal bone. This forms the frontonasal suture. The next articulation is with the sphenoid bone. The inferior part of the parietal margin of the frontal bone articulates with the rough area on the greater wing of the sphenoid bone. In addition, the posterior border of the orbital plate of the frontal bone articulates with the lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. This forms the sphenofrontal suture. The next articulation is with the ethmoid bone. The lateral margins of the ethmoidal notch of the frontal bone articulate with the orbital plate of the ethmoid bone. In addition, the posterior part of the nasal spine articulates with the perpendicular plate of the ethmoid bone. This forms the frontoethmoidal suture. The next articulations are with the two lacrimal bones. The lateral regions of the nasal notch of the frontal bone articulates with the superior border of the lacrimal bones. These articulations form the frontolacrimal sutures. The final two articulations are with the two zygomatic bones. The zygomatic processes of the frontal bone articulates with the frontal processes of the zygomatic bones. These articulations form the frontozygomatic sutures. What about the muscles that attach to this bone? A portion of the orbicularis oculi muscle originates from the nasal part of this bone. A portion of the temporalis muscle originates from the portion of this bone that makes up the anterior portion of the temporal fossa. The corrugator supercilii muscle originates from the medial end of the superciliary arch of this bone.
Thank you for watching. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe and check out more of my videos.